Long before the Great Wall stretched across mountains like a sleeping stone dragon, its earliest idea began as something small, simple walls built by determined villagers trying to protect their homes from danger. These first barriers were not made of stone or brick, but of packed earth shaped by many hard-working hands. Yet, from these humble beginnings, a monumental dream slowly grew, one that would one day become one of the most iconic structures in the world. As ancient Chinese states faced constant threats from wandering tribes of the northern steppes, communities began gathering to discuss how best to defend their land. Leaders, farmers, builders, and elders met under the shade of tall trees or inside clay-walled halls, sketching ideas on the ground with wooden sticks. They imagined walls that could shield families, keep crops safe, and give soldiers a better view of approaching riders. These early discussions planted the seeds for the Great Wall's first true defenses. Villagers worked together with impressive teamwork. Men dug wide trenches, women carried baskets of soil, and children tamped down loose earth with wooden mallets. Layer by layer, thick walls of rammed earth rose from the ground, forming protective lines that stretched across hills, riverbanks, and open valleys. Though these walls were far from the massive stone fortifications of later dynasties, they offered a newfound sense of safety and unity to the people who built them. Life near these early defenses continued with familiar rhythms. Farmers planted millet and wheat in terraced fields carved into slopes, while herders guided flocks of sheep and goats through grassy plains below the walls. The walls provided not just protection, but also a sense of pride. Every villager knew they had contributed to something larger than themselves. Children often played beside these earthen barriers, racing along the edges and pretending to be brave guardians watching over their land. Soldiers trained daily to strengthen their defenses. They practiced archery using bows made of wood and horn, their arrows whistling through the air as they aimed at straw targets. Warriors trained with spears and shields, learning to stand in formation and respond quickly to sudden threats. From atop lookout towers made of wood and earth, guards scanned the horizon for dust clouds kicked up by distant riders. These watchful eyes ensured villages had enough time to prepare if danger approached. Trade routes also crossed near these walls. Merchants carrying bundles of silk, jars of grain, or shimmering jade ornaments often stopped to rest beside guarded gates. Soldiers traded stories with travelers, hearing tales of deserts, forests, bustling southern markets, and snowy northern plains. Children sat nearby, listening with fascination as traders described lands far beyond the mountains they knew. These exchanges brought new ideas, tools, and customs that slowly spread through the region. Seasons added their own character to the growing defenses. In spring, rain softened the earth walls, and villagers hurried to patch cracks and reinforce weak spots. Summer heat baked the walls into solid, sun-hardened layers. Autumn winds carried golden leaves across the structure, rustling softly against wooden watchtowers. Winter snow blanketed everything in silence, turning the walls into long, white ridges stretching across the horizon. No matter the season, the people remained vigilant, maintaining their lifeline of protection. Building techniques gradually improved. Engineers learned to mix earth with gravel and plant fibers to make stronger layers. Wooden frames helped shape taller sections, while water channels were dug to prevent erosion during storms. Skilled builders emerged, craftsmen who knew exactly how to pack soil tightly, judge the strength of each layer, and position towers at just the right distance for quick signaling between outposts. Their knowledge would later influence the construction methods of more advanced walls. Communication became essential. Soldiers developed a system of signals using drums, bell chimes, and smoke produced by burning bundles of dry reeds. A single alert from one tower could quickly spread across miles of defenses. Villagers paused their daily chores when they heard the steady beat of warning drums, gathering inside gates until the danger passed. This early network taught communities how to stay coordinated, even when separated by hills and valleys. As threats persisted, leaders realized that stronger and more connected walls were needed. The idea of linking multiple barriers into long, continuous lines began to take shape. This marked the first step toward what future generations would call the Great Wall. Though no one at the time could imagine how enormous the structure would eventually become, they understood that united defenses were stronger than scattered ones. Daily life near the walls remained full of warmth and routine. Families cooked meals over glowing hearths, the smell of roasted grains and vegetables drifting into the cool evening air. Craftsmen carved wooden tools, shaped clay pots, and repaired farming equipment. Musicians played gentle tunes on bamboo flutes as children danced in the fading sunlight. Even with danger always present, people found joy in small moments and comfort in their growing sense of security. Nature constantly interacted with the early walls. Birds perched on the ridges, chirping brightly at sunrise. Lizards scurried across sun-warmed surfaces, and grasses sprouted at the base of the structure. Sometimes, heavy storms tested the strength of the walls, washing away loose soil and forcing villagers to rebuild stronger than before. These challenges taught them resilience and deepened their understanding of the land they protected. Over time, early rulers recognized the value of these defenses and began investing in larger projects. They gathered laborers from different communities, collected resources, and organized construction teams that worked year-round. Builders traveled long distances to strengthen existing sections, add new towers, and extend the walls farther into remote regions. Each improvement brought ancient China one step closer to the massive fortification it would one day create. Though humble and often overlooked compared to the stone walls built centuries later, these first earthen barriers were the true beginning of the Great Wall. They represented courage, unity, and determination. They showed how ordinary people, working together, could create something extraordinary. And so, with each packed layer of earth and each rising tower of wood, the dream of a grand, unbroken wall began to take shape. It started not with emperors or armies, but with farmers, builders, and families who dared to imagine a safer future one brick, one step, and one generation at a time. As the early wall stretched farther across the rugged landscape, life around the construction sites grew even more organized. Camps filled with workers, soldiers, cooks, and craftsmen formed lively little communities that bustled with energy from sunrise to sunset. People woke each morning to the echoing call of horns, signaling another long day of labor, planning, and teamwork beneath the shifting colors of the sky. Supply wagons rumbled along narrow dirt paths, pulled by sturdy oxen carrying crates of tools, bundles of reeds, and large sacks of grain that kept the workers fed. Drivers shouted warnings as wheels bumped over stones, while children from nearby villages watched with fascination, imagining what it must feel like to travel with the caravans and see every bend of the growing wall. Even simple deliveries felt like part of a grand mission. Inside the camps, skilled craftsmen prepared materials with careful precision. They shaped wooden beams, repaired rope harnesses, and crafted chisels used to cut stone more efficiently. Younger helpers scurried around carrying buckets of water, sharpening tools on smooth stones, or gathering bundles of firewood used to heat small forges. Each task, no matter how small, contributed to the mighty construction effort. Meals were simple but hearty. Large cauldrons simmered with thick porridge, vegetable stews, and slices of meat flavored with herbs gathered from the hills. Workers lined up with bowls in hand, chatting about the day's progress, the weather, or news carried by messengers from distant regions. These shared meals strengthened their sense of unity, reminding everyone that they were a part of something far greater than themselves. Along the expanding wall, watchtowers rose at regular intervals, tall and sturdy like silent guardians of the frontier. Inside each tower, soldiers climbed wooden ladders to reach high platforms where they could skim the open landscape. They watched for dust clouds, wandering animals, or the flicker of distant campfires, ready to signal warnings with flags by day and burning torches by night. Their vigilance became a vital shield for those who built the wall below. Communication between towers was a skillful art. Soldiers practiced raising colored flags in quick patterns, each movement carrying a specific message. At night, they used flames instead, waving lanterns or lighting signal fires that sent bright flashes across the darkness. Children in nearby villages often copied these signals with sticks or candles, pretending to defend the land as brave guardians of the frontier. Musicians sometimes visited the camps, bringing flutes, drums, and stringed instruments that lifted spirits after long days of work. As the sun dipped below the mountains, workers gathered around small fires to listen to gentle melodies that drifted through the cool evening air. Songs told stories of legendary heroes, great journeys, and ancient creatures believed to roam far-off deserts. These moments of music brought comfort, reminding everyone of home. Travelers passing through the region often paused to admire the construction. Some sketched the towering ramps and towering walls, hoping to record the incredible sight for others to see. Merchants traded cloth, dried fruit, metal tools, and pottery in exchange for grain or handmade goods from the workers. These exchanges transformed the construction sites into lively centers of trade and culture. Nature posed constant challenges, but each obstacle only strengthened the determination of the builders. Sudden rainstorms turned paths into slippery slopes, while fierce winds whipped dust into swirling clouds that stung the workers' eyes. During hot summer days, people shaded themselves under woven mats, drinking water from clay jars to stay cool. In winter, they wrapped themselves in layer after layer of warm clothing, breathing clouds of white mist as they worked. Animals were essential partners in this monumental task. Horses carried messengers swiftly between distant camps, donkeys hauled supplies across uneven hills, and oxen pushed heavy carts loaded with stones and timber. Many workers formed strong bonds with these animals, caring for them, brushing their fur, and feeding them carefully each night. Without their strength, progress would have slowed to a crawl. Some workers were experts in problem solving. When a ridge became too steep or a valley too wide, engineers designed clever solutions, zigzagging paths, reinforced support beams, and innovative stacking techniques that made the wall strong even in the harshest terrain. Children who lived nearby often watched from safe distances, imagining themselves as future builders who would one day design wonders of their own. Nighttime around the wall held its own quiet magic. Stars shimmered brightly above the dark landscape, while torches flickered along the unfinished stretches like glowing beads on a long necklace. Workers resting on blankets shared stories of their families, their hopes, and the pride they felt in contributing to something so important. Even in silence, the wall felt alive, breathing, growing, and connecting all who worked on it. Season after season, the wall continued to rise brick by brick, stone by stone, footprint by footprint. Each new section represented thousands of hands working together, guided by determination and shaped by shared purpose. People knew that their efforts were not just for the present, but for countless generations yet to come. As the earliest sections reached completion, villages nearby held small celebrations. Families gathered to admire the towering structure stretching across the horizon, marveling at the strength and unity required to build it. Children traced their hands along the rough bricks, feeling the warmth of the sun still clinging to the stone and imagining what the finished wall might one day become. And so, the story of the Great Wall's first bricks continued: endless motion, endless effort, and endless dreams. Through changing seasons and shifting skies, the wall grew like a giant thread weaving together land, people, and history. Every person who touched a brick left behind a small part of themselves, helping create one of the world's most extraordinary achievements.